All right, hello everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of the TEKLAB Podcast. I'll apologize right off the bat. I'm a little sick. It's just kind of one of those things. I have my trash can here and my tissues, um, and I have a little bit of a cough, but I have a handy dandy mute button on my headset. So hopefully it shouldn't be too disruptive. But if I sound like I'm, muffled up, it's because I am. Uh, that said, I guess I should also mention if my voice quality is a little low, or the recording quality. I have to use a headset. So this is kind of going to be the theme of this episode a little bit at chunks because if you were listening to past episodes, I did mention this, but we just went through a really big move. So I know it's been a while since the last episode. It's like September or August or something crazy like that. And part of the reason that I'm doing, just kind of saying to hell with it and doing this while I'm sick is because I've been trying to get this recording done for a while and just things keep coming up. So I just kind of had to suck it up with the sickness and and just do it so that I could get something on the channel to let everybody know that we're still around. But yeah, so with this move, we moved states. So my family and I used to live in Iowa, and now we live in Minnesota. So it's a pretty big move, expensive move, lots of things going on, takes up a lot of time. So I just haven't been able to do anything. And in fact, I only recently started playing Tekken again. I don't know, 3 weeks ago, something like that. Like I had to completely put it down. I think the last time that I was really playing matches was back around Combo Breaker. Like I was playing a bunch up until Combo Breaker. Combo Breaker happened, and then I kind of just stopped. I think I played maybe once or twice between Combo Breaker and when I started again a couple weeks ago. So it's just been really one of those deals where it's just a really busy time in my life, which is why the content is so low. Not that I don't want to be making content, you just sometimes gotta put things aside and focus on the stuff that's important in life. So with that
I
out
don't
of the
like the
way,
phone.
so with that out of the
You just
way,
said second's not the important part. I'm starting to get concerned.
you what now?
You said you had to put aside this stuff because you had more important things than Tekken.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I know. I wish so okay, before we get into that conversation, so obviously if you've
Here
listened
comes
to
the
the other
excuse.
yeah, if you've listened to the other episodes, I do have my co-host here, Dan the Manimal, aka Prinny Juice. Which is so funny to me that you changed your name at some point to that, and people get a huge kick out of that Pretty Juice moniker. But I moved, by
Man,
the
I
way,
love
I
you.
guess just kind of an FYI to people listening. So Minnesota, that's where this guy is. So I live not far from him. I'm maybe 20 minutes away. Um, so I'm in that area uh, now. So we're not
Homie.
not so far away. Maybe at some point we'll get some live recordings in and
Cookout.
yeah, do something like that.
Live from the cookout. It's Tekken.
Yeah, yes. So maybe, but just with the way that recording software and stuff works, it's I don't have a big studio. I'm not a friggin' Joe Rogan or whatever, so I can't just set up microphones for whoever and have a nice little posh, sitting arrangement for people. So it's easier to do it, even though we're close by. It's easier to do it over, to interwebs and whatnot. So. Um, but yeah, I feel like I cut you off. That you were about to say something.
Nothing I'm saying is important.
So the way that I'm going to break up this podcast, it's I don't intend on this being a very lengthy episode because for one, I'm just getting back into the groove of things. So there's a lot of information that I've missed. Season one is coming to an end, and we're about to get season two. Tekken World Tour is over, so I got a lot of catch up to do before I can like really have any broad uh, not
Careful.
opinions, but broad, uh, broad perspective on what the game is and what it what it's doing. So that said, we did this little intro just to kind of catch you up on what's been going on. And then as a kind of an ancillary topic to that, I know, so my dream for the channel was to be like these guide videos, and I did several for Tekken 8 before, everything happened and I had to kind of stop. Because of my work schedule arrangement and some changes with my move, those are a lot tougher to do because of the way that I do them, because I do a lot of editing, a lot of clip management. So the process to put them together is kind of, arduous, I guess. So with that, I don't know if those videos are going to come back. I might have to just kind of, at least not in the format that they were, like the 10, 11-minute videos. I need to find a better format that allows me to kind of put information out there, quicker, like get to the points quicker and be able more to the point, be able to edit them quicker. Because that's the only way that I'll have time to be able to do that. So the good news is that I was sort of messing around before I stopped doing like the actual gameplay videos. I was messing around with sort of shorter formats of stuff. Like one thing that I really want to go back to because I think it's super fun is I only did one video of it, but I did a video of I called it Trade Accepted, but I really, and Dan, I know you're the same way, but I really like those situations where trades create these really crazy rewards, and they really, I don't know, they make the RVR of certain circumstances really goofy. And
Well, in Tekken 8, it is bigger than it ever has been.
yeah, which is good because what I needed were examples. So and I think I have some on the back burner, like in my notes, but I only ever did one video of that. I did a Kuma one, but it was less than a minute, very quick to put together. So I'd like to do more of those, and I think you can expect some of those in the future. But that said, I really have to go back to the drawing board for the guide videos and figure out some different format that is much quicker to record, much quicker to edit, and ideally, the videos themselves would not be as long, maybe a few minutes, because at the end of the day, those guide videos were meant to be just a basic overview of a character, and Tekken is just, it's weird because it's one of those games where every character just has so many moves, and with the crush system and the 3D element, with side steps and what have you, it's a lot. Like there's a lot to learn for any particular character. So I just kind of have to brainstorm a bit and figure out what can get cut out and how I can rearrange things to try to do those again. So that's a look into the future. So that's kind of where the channel stands. Now that things are sort of calming down with our move, I'm hoping that we can do more of these, podcasts, and kind of talk about the state of Tekken and where things are and what have you. So, but that's just kind of, it's where we are. So that's what you can expect going forward. So that's the first part here of our episode. And then the second part, is mostly going to be me asking Dan a simple question. What do you think of Tekken 8 going into Season 2? I'm just going to kind of let you talk because, like I said, I've been talking for like 10 minutes straight, but I'm still catching up. I'm sure that there are a lot of changes that, I haven't had time to look at from patch notes and whatnot, so I'm behind in that sense. But you obviously, you go through, you play a lot, you do practice mode a lot. I know you're big on testing stuff, so there's a lot of knowledge in that head of yours. But I do think that things are slowing down a little bit because Season 2 is around the corner. But what do you think of things at this moment now that Tekken World Tour is over? We have all our season 1 characters, DLC characters. What are your thoughts?
Um, the I think we did a little bit in your like quick video right when you finished the move, right? Because we did at least one video or not video podcast. Um, I love Tekken 8. I think Tekken 8, and you know, it feels like we go through this every new game, but I believe that Namco keeps making a better and better product, and they like as the game, you know, goes through its lifespan, it always starts off addressing some of the biggest complaints, and then new complaints, you know, come in along the way. So I'm not entirely surprised to hear, you know, people complaining, but of course, the complaining had hit like such a point because a lot of the tournament players, you know, wanted to be able to play and keep their same, you know, strategy and success, you know, not grow from Tekken 7. So there's a whole lot of that that I think is going to lead to Tekken 8 becoming slightly less aggressive. So that's what I'm really nervous about because it's not that I don't understand that some people don't like, you know, forced 50-50s or whatever, you know, the case might be. The the problem is they're not looking at those situations as anything beyond, you know, like when you hit a heat dash and you're at plus 15 or whatever, you basically get a free mix up, right? But if you play, you know, 50-50 style with people, I mean, that's your level of success, 50-50, right? So nobody's looking at, well, how do I turn that into a higher level of success? They're just complaining because they're forced to guess every so often. And I mean, sure, you have to do that a little bit more, but the problem has always been that some characters benefit from the game plan better than others, and you know, like Mishimas get to, you know, approach whenever they want and do a 50-50 whenever they want, but you might have someone like Claudio who has, you know, basically garbage lows who doesn't get to play that way, and then he has to play an entirely different style of game. And I love what they've done with this game. I really do. I know that there's a lot of frustration with all of that, but just to pull it back, I think that this is a better game than 7. I do wish that there was less combo extenders, you know, but we've always said that. Bound, dumb, and when Tailspin came out, it was great because it pushed them further away, it helped everyone with wall carry, it was built around tracking moves, and then even you couldn't do the extender at the wall, but they put that back. I you know, I can't say that's my favorite part, but the rest of the game is wonderful. But for season 2, what I'm looking forward to is hopefully they keep with what appears to be the lowest level of change to try to keep those people happy, a little bit more even on the balance, but I would still say that this is again the most balanced Tekken up to date. Um, the new character Clive, everybody's kind of really harping on because he can be played at a high level with a, you know, small number of moves and everything like that. But I mean, people are still learning how to play, and in Tekken 8, aggression is easier, defense is a lot harder. So as this goes on, you know, Clive is going to be, we keep calling him Cliff, Clive is going to be broken down more and more. And you're already seeing some people start to figure this out. Um, we for season 2, we already know that Anna's coming. They've, you know, given us that little sneak peek in the video with the helicopter and the missile that has the kiss mark on it or whatever the bazooka shot. But aside from that, I have no idea really what to expect, except they're going to try to support the hardcore market a little bit so that they don't scare the casual market away. But people keep forgetting that the hardcore market is like 1%, you know? And if you want your game to keep going, if you want to have, you know, all of your characters added to the game, then you don't want to kill it off. And honestly, there's no reason for it. This game is so good. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know we've talked about this topic before about how do you kind of make everybody happy, especially when the numbers are so lopsided. Like the actual competitive number of competitive players is so much less than just the casual people picking it up. And you have the two ends of the spectrum. Like you have the Smash approach where they don't care about competitive play at all. They're like, you can play it competitively if you want to, but we're not we're, we're not going to do anything to mollify any of your concerns. We're making a game to sell switches. Like that's
Right.
pretty much their thing. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, what would be a good example? Maybe like a Virtua Fighter. Oh no, Killer Instinct, right? Killer Instinct's probably a good one because they constantly patched that and had a lot of seasons, and they were very
Oh,
very
I like Virtua Fighter actually more for the example because that game literally does nothing for casuals.
yeah. Yeah, that's why I thought of it first. Is I guess the only reason that I kind of switched to a different example there is because we haven't had a virtual fighter in a while. Um, because yeah, it's just because it wasn't popular. So maybe it is a better example for that reason. Because it just kind of died off. I guess the good news is that Namco has been pretty good with kind of balancing everything. Um, and making the game fun for casuals while at the same time doing enough for the competitive community to keep the complaints to a relative minimum, I guess. I think the probably the biggest concern from their perspective is that a lot of these people nowadays, Tekken is by no means an outlier here, but a lot of these people have a lot of the competitive players have social media, right? So, and they're broadcasting their opinions to a lot of other users who are just kind of parroting that stuff without thinking about it. And a lot of those users are casual players, like they just want to be part of the discussion. So there is some leakage there, and I think that's probably they want to have positive word of mouth, from the competitive players, just because those people are going to be talking about the game the most. But I agree with you. I mean, I think overall it's a great game. I'm uh I'm a little undecided on whether I think it's better than T7 or only because there are some things in Tekken 8 just system wise that I don't like to the point where, and a lot of it has to do with like the heat system and over aggression. Like I'll admit that I'm in the minority here, but I loved the tag 1 and T5 days where you could backdash cancel away from a lot of crap and it was heavily defensive. Tekken 7 kind of became that because everyone just played this ultra safe style and then moved around. However, I don't know. Tekken 7 felt like it injected enough that it wasn't quite as bad as Tag 1, where you just had these infinite backdash matches. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely can say that it's nice to have a new game, right? And like you mentioned, I do think it's really balanced in what it's trying to do. Like I don't think there are any unviable characters. The only one that I would have said at launch was Leroy, but they fixed him. They slowly just buffed him.
I love him now.
Yeah, excuse me. Um, but yeah, so he was the only one that I feel like you could have pointed to just these obvious weaknesses compared to other characters, and he was just not going to get the value that every other character in the cast was getting. Whereas now he has plenty. They tweaked enough that he's good. So everybody is viable. There are no characters that if you're going to pick them, you can't have success with. So that's probably number one on my list of things that I want that you want from a competitive game. Everything else is just personal preference on what you like about systems.
Mhm.
but when you play it, the only thing in my mind that you really what's the best way to phrase this? The biggest factor for a game being good or a competitive game being good is that no matter how you choose to go about playing the game, which in a fighter would be who you're picking, that you're not going to be left helpless. You're not going to be stuck in this hole where just everyone's gonna run on you because you decided to pick something that's terrible that there was no way for you to identify. Um, so that's kind of my
I think
biggest criteria for a good competitive game, and I think that Tekken 8 checks that box. Like, and I think it helps us, and I think it helps everybody that Namco does seem very reluctant to like hit characters with really really big nerf hammers. Like they would rather buff a character than nerf one. And there have been, obviously some examples with where they did, they have nerfed characters, obviously, but they haven't like just completely stripped a character of everything that they had that was good. So like an example would be like Azu, right? Her running 3-2 was a problem, but they let it simmer for a while. Like that move was not touched for a while after launch. And when they did, they had, I think it took like 3 or 4 nerfs before it got to its present state. So they, even with that move, which was such an obvious example of a move like, well, if you're going to pick this character, you just accept that you're going to use that move 90% of the time. They still took these small incremental changes. So I think it's good that they are committed to a style of play and they want people to be aggressive no matter who they pick in the game, which is great. I think that it helps the game keep up its action, but helps it from getting stale. Like everybody has options, characters that is. No one's just going to be stuck in some sort of boring. I mean, I guess with the exception of Clive right now, just because it's a lot of forward 1+2 and 1+2. But it's just, I think that just goes back to your point of the game being really fun, where there are so many ways to play a character and all of them are viable. And no matter what character you play, you're going to be in that position. I was going to ask, because I went back and I watched the matches for Tekken World Tour, but I kind of skipped over like all the talking and intermissions and stuff. Did they give a
Mhm.
date for season 2?
No, we're just kind of waiting right now. We don't know when it's going to come out
Okay.
currently, but there's a lot of different theories, and I, apparently it's supposed to be sooner than later.
Well, I
We know that
know
the
what they.
PWT starts in April.
Oh, they did give a date on that. Okay, so April.
I Well, whenever the Evo Japan is, I know that actually something is supposed to be announced like this weekend too.
Well, I was going to say Frosty is coming up soon. Um, is that maybe this next weekend? Let me check here. No, no, no. It wouldn't be this next weekend because a lot of people are going with that. I'm going to look it up. I know it's soon. Frosty Frostings. Excuse me. So it's not next weekend, it's the weekend after that. So my guess is that, if they wanted to, because Evo Japan, Frosty, and then what else? What's the next big thing? Nothing. So I feel like Frosty is probably the next best opportunity for a big announcement, unless they decide to schedule a Tekken talk or whatever those things are.
That's probably what's coming. They've already said that they planned on doing, lots of patchwork and everything, making some tweaks. And I think it's even supposed to happen before season 2. But at this point, because it's been like a whole month with Clive or whatever, I just have to think that uh, they're just gonna let it ride until season two.
I mean,
But
from a development perspective, that makes sense. I mean, there aren't any major things happening. We're in between Tekken World Tours. Like, why waste a bunch of resources tweaking him just when you're about to probably make a big major update to everybody? So,
and yeah, don't get me wrong. Clive is super strong. I think if anything, just nerf that forward 1+2 tracking a little bit, and I mean some of his damage is a little high, but he's great.
well, and
He has
that's kind of
crap
what
classes.
that's kind of what I was talking about, right? Is that I don't think he's definitely a good character, and he's particularly a good tournament character just because of how safe he is, and he can be safe and get all that damage. Um, but at the end of the day, I don't think you have to make a lot of tweaks to him to kind of bring him back to reality and make people stop using forward 1+2 all the time. Um, Because like the damage one, I feel like is really easy because all you have to do is compare the damage he's doing to other characters, and it's like, is this correct? And you just tweak a couple numbers. Um, Kind of same deal with his wall carry, right? His wall carry is crazy, so does he need? It's just kind of a justification for a damage nerf. Um, and then forward 1+2, I would expect probably gets a similar treatment to Azucena's running 3-2, where an obvious change that you could make to that move is not have the second hit come out on whiff. That would be really easy. Make it worse on whiff, because that way you're not changing like the fundamental purpose of the move for what is it, -8, -9 on block.
Yeah.
So on block, like nothing changes, but if you're spacing him well and you're doing all that stuff, then you can actually punish him for being clumsy about it. Which feels like a fair kind of nerf. And there's other things that you could do, but I'm just kind of saying like I would expect
Yeah.
that they can do a couple of those things without fundamentally changing what the character is. But
If
that
they
said,
made it -9, then people could at least do a 13 frame check or something. Right now, it's a 12 frame check.
what'd you say it was? -6?
It's -8 right now. So
-8.
the only
Okay.
thing that you can do, like, or the slowest move that you can do right now, where he can't use his parry, is like a 12 frame mid. So then he
Gotcha.
can do nothing about that. But if they made it -9, I mean, you could do a 13 frame check, and that would be fine, and that would probably solve any concern anybody has.
Yeah. But yeah, but I think like you said, I don't expect them to do anything with him until the season 2 changes, or until they do whatever the big season 2 update is. I will say that I am really excited for season 2 just because if we look at Tekken 7 as a comparison, that's when we got new moves. It wasn't just a big patch update, right? Like they would do new moves, and in some cases we got new types of moves, right? Because the rage drive was not in season 1. Like people forget about that. That was not part of Tekken 7 at launch. They added that in a later season. So essentially a completely different mechanic that was in the game. So that I'm excited to see if they do anything like that. I don't know that I expect new mechanics, like just a brand new thing that you can do do with your meter. But at the same time, I mean, they've already kind of built in that structure into the game and the characters because you have these characters who have like their own. I don't know if you call them meters, but they have their own tickers for various things, power ups or whatever the hell you want to call them. So maybe they do. Maybe they do some.
Installs. That's what they call them.
Was it
Installs.
installs? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have all those, but not every character has one. So yeah. But I mean, there's nothing to say that that you can't give a character that already has one more. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But I always like seeing like what new moves they give characters, because it's normally not a lot, right? Like you get like a couple each season, but or they
I,
change what a move is. Um, so
yeah, I
yeah,
think it was season 2 in Tekken 7 for Rage Drives.
was it? Oh, I thought it was later than that.
I think it's season 2. I just went back, and when they were talking about Rage Drives for the first time, it was 2017. So
Mm,
I think I think that has to be it.
yeah.
Um, I do expect them to give us, maybe one new style of move. Maybe that will be their way to solve the defense thing. They'll have some kind of like, I don't know, one-time use option or, something like that. But I would also expect them to maybe nerf Heat Smash a little bit.
Mm. Which is funny because they are. Oh wait, uh, Heat
Smash,
Smash,
not
not
burst.
Heat Burst. Right, right. I was gonna say
Yeah.
the burst is what already got the nerf. Yeah, yeah. I can see that. Um, yeah. I guess I don't know,
You've
because
got
I feel like, is there
you've
anybody
got
with
me
a
saying that it's the best move in the game.
what is?
Heat Smashes are the best moves in the game. Like they I saw a video where they were asking everyone what is the one most overpowered move in the game. And you have some people saying like Jin 214 and everybody listed their own, but Nee came out and he's like Heat Smash. Heat Smash is the worst.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, it's that's how they built it. Each Heat Smash is crazy good, and because I don't think anybody has a bad Heat Smash, right? Everyone's Heat Smash is good.
Well,
um,
there's definitely varying levels,
sure.
but I think that I think that Heat Smash is a good thing. Again, I think not everyone should be restricted from being able to at least create some kind of pressure on people. I mean, you go through like even in Tekken 7, you could have some characters who are just really good at spacing, and then you have some characters who are, but when it comes to comeback time, you don't want to be that spacing character like Lee. Lee has a hard time. Oh, there's 10 seconds left on the clock and I'm down by half a bar. How do I chase this guy? You
Right.
know? And that feeling is just awful. You have no chance at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think well, maybe you know the answer to this, but how does white bar does not impact the percentage, does it? If the clock hits zero, when it decides who wins, or does it?
It does.
Is it considered part of your life or not?
No, no. I mean, uh, what health you currently have is the health that you currently have. It's just you have the option of getting up to there. So if it was a tie and one person had half, more in white bar, it would still just be a tie.
Okay. Um, because yeah, I was gonna say the like the obvious fix to that is characters that maybe don't have the best lows or something, like like you said, like somebody that can, or a spacing character like the Lee example that you gave, that they could.
And actually, that's one of the most interesting things about Tekken 8 to me is you mentioned Leroy earlier. Leroy didn't have like a great offense. So rather than giving him, some mind-blowing low move or anything, they gave him just the coolest chip damage move in the game, and that's what makes him great. That sidestep 1+2. It's
Mm,
basically a low move. You need to duck that.
mm,
It's so good.
yeah. Um, but yeah, so I guess trying to think of like what would be an obvious change, because the thing is, I know that I don't disagree with Nee's opinion. Like heat smashes are the best moves in the game, but that's by design, right? Because you're using your meter, you're choosing to use end your heat in exchange for this powerful move. I think if I were to make one change to that to make it more quote unquote balanced, is that you have to activate it above a certain amount. Um,
That is the exact fix it should be.
yeah, so like you can't just use all your heat and then you have half a second left and then you can use your heat smash one, right at the end. Um,
Yeah, you need like at least 5% or something.
yeah, even more than
At
that
least.
because it's what
Yeah.
oh it's not broken into the bars anymore, but like I would probably even put it higher than that, like maybe at least 20-30%. You'd have to have your bar because at 30%, I think that's half of what you get if you just do a manual burst.
Mm-hmm.
Since you lose that third or whatever it is, um, doing that manually rather than an engager. Uh, yeah, because I will, and yeah, I don't know, it's weird because some characters rage drive or rage drives. There I go. Uh, Heat smashes are they're not overpowering, but I mean they are good, but they're sort of limited to whatever the character is trying to do. So, for an example, like if you compare, uh, just because I play the two characters, if you compare Law and Reyna, Law's is way better. Law has a crazy good heat smash. Ray,
1,000%.
yeah, Reyna's is good, but it's very slow. Um, it is long range, but it also automatically sends her into stance afterwards. So it's trying to do a very particular thing. Laws sends his into stance as well, but he has kind of faster moves from it, and his pressure is just a little bit better from his stance. Uh, but yeah, so like you do have this disparity, but it's not that Reyna's is bad. It's just more designed for a specific purpose, whereas Laws is like I'm just gonna do this and it's gonna hit, and I whatever the situation is afterwards, I'm gonna be in a good spot.
Yeah, I would actually like that is a perfect comparison. I I think it's really interesting I just said that Laws is definitely way better. I would actually say that they are just so thematically different, but maybe still equal. I thought I agreed with you at first, and then I remembered part of the reason that hers is the way that it is like you mentioned the long range, but that even happens in combos. Like she will drag them over to a wall and then break a wall from, half a screen away. And then her counter hit option is that high move. And if she gets that at the highest level, she can hit the perfect electric or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's entirely different, but yeah, no, I love how it adds all this identity. Like Law gets to just his hits faster. He cucks the crap out of you and chips you away, and then he still gets a little mix up.
Mm-hmm. The I think the big reason that I think his is better, despite what like all those advantages or benefits that you mentioned for Reyna's, is that it's one of the fastest heat smashes in the game, and
Yep,
it's
that
a weapon attack. Um, I don't think actually maybe you know this. Are heat
all heat
smashes
smashers can't be reverses,
they can't be
reversed or
reversed at
parried.
all? Okay, never mind. I was
Yeah,
thinking
the only
because Reyna's is an elbow, so I was like, all right, that's going to beat most things. But yeah, I guess it makes sense that he smashes. Like I said, I'm trying to catch up. I'm sure I knew this. I'm sure I knew that 6 months ago. I forgot.
no,
So
yours is his is great because of that speed, and then there's some that like track great, and some that don't, and really put you at a disadvantage if they whiff.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I would say overall I would have agreed that some are better than others. Like, who doesn't love Jack's 10 frame heat
Hmm.
smash? I mean, that's ridiculous. But
Right.
it also doesn't put him at advantage either on block. So,
Well, and strictly speaking, even I see Jack players do that all the time, and I get it. It's like, okay, I'm going to go for the guard break, and then I'm going to get this for free. I have actually never considered that super scary because it doesn't do as much damage as you think. Um,
yeah, they know that.
yeah, so it's not nearly. It sounds weird because his is just so fast, but I would probably take a Law's heat smash over Jack's if I had to pick.
Well, and that's what's great about it is the heat smashes lean into the character identity and like give them things that they don't necessarily normally have.
Mm-hmm.
Like Law gets to chip the crap out of you and hit you with this really fast thing. But if you're a Jack player, and your fastest move is forward two, and you have, really hard time stopping aggression. I mean, this is a great 10 frame punish. This is a good interrupt tool for safety. They're not gambling their life away, so it's all very situational.
Mm-hmm. The funniest thing about using like the Jack example, specifically that example, is that Jack players like always go for that guard break and then burn that as soon as they can. And I'm like, his heat is really strong. Why aren't you just using your meter for for pressure and stuff? But I don't know.
Yeah.
They love just doing that, I guess.
I would rather use it as a punisher because then you're not getting that damage nerf to
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yeah, the scaling. Cool.
I don't know. I do agree that it's the best move in the game, but I don't know how much it needs to be nerfed, except for, as we said, if you're chipping, I do it with Lydia. I'll chip you with, I'm in heat. I'll make you block a bunch of stuff so that I can get a whole bunch of chip damage and maintain my aggression. And then I'm going to do my heat smash a little bit later so that I can get as much chip as possible before my free mix up. So,
Yeah. And Leroy has the same game plan, right? So he's doing the sidestep 1+2, or now he can do the things like, like the forward three, 1+2, and not worry about getting punished. But just all those moves where in heat, he's getting that extra chip damage. And then once it starts to run out, boom, he can do that heat smash and get a little more boost.
if they want to give us like a one-time only defense move, I mean, I guess I'm for it, but I'm less inclined to enjoy that as much as say they give us back wall bounce. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah, I'm
the
trying to
geese back too. Man, that shit was awesome.
think. uh, yeah, that'd be interesting to. Hmm. I don't know about that
I know.
specifically, but yeah, I'm curious like what else you could do because no one expected like a wall bounce mechanic because it seems kind of goofy in a Tekken game. But yeah, I mean
That's the
maybe.
whole thing they're going with there now, though. It's not just all about launchers. Like, you're not just hunting for an electric when you can also go for wall splats. You can also go for moves that activate heat. You can. They're really buffing your ability to craft an offense in different ways. So that's why I'm only giving it as an example. The wall bounce added this whole other dimension where I don't need to be right near the wall to try to get, a different move to make it hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing I feel like they should have addressed a long time ago. Not just Tekken 8, but even in Tekken 7 is I hate walls. I hate when they introduced walls. The Tekken that had the best wall system in my mind was actually 4. The only reason that it still sucked is because they clearly didn't playtest that, and so you had all those infinites. But otherwise, the way that the wall functioned in that game, or was designed to function, was really good. But then they just made it into like they went like sort of like a complete 180 where
It's a ring out.
if you get to the wall, you're going to be rewarded with a lot of extra damage. Your opponent can't go anywhere. Like you're just all this stuff. Um, but then, like you mentioned, they kept adding these things to still get people to the wall. To like tailspin, I love tailspin only from the perspective of balance. Like I thought it really helped sort of even the playing field for characters that did not have great wall carry. They still had the tailspin, which would help them with that. But I still hated it in the sense that okay, this is the game now. The game is getting somebody to the wall. Like that's your primary function is getting someone to the wall, and then you can do stuff. So I'm still not a huge fan of that, and I guess Tekken 8 has sort of it hasn't solved it, but it's moved the pendulum a little bit because everyone's offense is so good, and you just essentially everybody can do so much damage even without the wall that if you're struggling to get somebody to the wall, or maybe the character isn't so great at getting your opponent to the wall, that you still have options to do a lot of damage. And heat obviously helps with that too. But I still hate this wall centric thing. And we don't, I know this has been something a lot of people have brought up, but we don't have any infinite stages. We have a couple that are close just because they're so big. But like true infinite stages, I know people have been asking about that, or asking for those. I don't know that they'll actually give them, but we'll see.
I would like some more basically bigger stages.
Mm.
I don't mind if it's so big, like if you get to the wall on what the arena one, the Coliseum. I mean, you earned it.
It
I
takes a
think
lot
that's
to get
awesome.
there. Yeah, it takes a lot to get there. I guess the my biggest criticism of the way that stages are now, and again, Tekken 7 had this as well, is that if you launch somebody from the start of the round, like from the default positions of both characters, most of the stages, most characters can, well, not most, I think every character for a lot of
Yeah.
stages
Yep.
can get them to the wall. I think that should not be a thing. It's fine, like if
100 damage from the middle.
yeah, so like just all the smaller stages, just make them just like grow them by like 30, 40%. So that way there will be some characters that can do that. Like Clive right now would for sure be able to do that. But, a lot of characters, it might get close, or at the very least force people to burn some resources to do that. So like Arena is a perfect example where I think every character can get to the wall from the start position without having to use heat.
Yes, and that's actually the template for most stages. So most of them have that exact same distance.
Yeah, so I'm not a big fan of that. I think that the stages should be a little bit bigger. And I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like the arena stage in Tekken 7 was bigger than the arena stage in Tekken 8.
It
Um,
was.
it just felt like it took a lot more
Or
to get to the wall.
maybe I want to say it still was, but maybe combo filler is also bigger too. So it's hard for me to say for absolute certainty, but
Mm,
it at least systematically was bigger.
gotcha. Yeah, so that's if I had to like change some system stuff, that's what I do. I do, but I think the thing that I'm most interested to see is like the new move stuff because they always not just patch, but they give characters some changes to their moves, like fundamental changes, either a brand new move or a couple brand new moves, um, or just
I
changing
like what they're giving Paul,
what they're giving
even though
Paul.
he doesn't need that. Yeah, he doesn't need a lot or anything, and honestly, I still think he's kind of underrated. But they're giving him a new like deep dash move that uh, turns into a high spinning move. So like in his combos, he can do this and get the spin that other characters can get in juggles.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do with that too, because I know that's been a big complaint among people about being. They've already nerfed it a little bit, right? Like I know Fang was a really good example of just doing the up forward three a billion times, but I feel like people still complain about that, that being a thing. It's like just this extra combo extension for no reason, and it's not listed in the game as such, but it clearly is. Like that was the function of it. So I'm curious to see what they do with that, if they tweak that at all. Because not all characters have it. Like Reyna, she technically has one, but it's her back turn move, and so it's worthless for that purpose.
Yeah,
So she doesn't even have one, and I don't think every character does have one. It's not just her.
but I do think that that's going to be one of their focuses is giving everybody one because we know Law is getting them too.
So what do you mean by that? Did they show a video of some new stuff? They must have,
Yeah,
huh? Oh, okay.
there's some clips out there, and And Law has like two new DSS moves, and one of them is like it's like a tracking nunchuck. So I want to say it's high, and it helps with the whole like you can sidestep right against his DSS. Um, so it'll be a tracking move, but also in combos, it's going to tornado or whatever people call it.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. Was that what? How did they present that? Like, was that in one of
Yeah, they
their
did a combo.
thing? Okay. I
Um,
didn't know if this was
yeah, it
just like
was.
random footage from some people they gave it to or something, or I don't
I actually think this was in the video for season 2 where you saw the helicopter with the lipstick on it and all that.
Ah, okay. So there's probably I'm gonna pull it up. There's probably a season 2
And there's a
reveal.
couple moves that they show. They show Law, Paul. Um, yeah, and it looks like they're giving people the things that they needed or something.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
the new cancel the heat dash cancels where Jin can go. I think it's everybody, but they can go into full crouch off of their heat dash, and then they can do some of these moves like Jin could do full crouch down forward 4, and apparently he can cancel it. Also, Azu has one too now, a full crouch low move that she can cancel into back turn.
Nice. I'm I think I found found the video. I think the only disappointment that I've had so far with Tekken 8, and it's just because I saw it as soon as I pulled up the video, is that I really hate that they brought Heihachi back. I really do. I feel like just like you guys gotta commit here. Like the character is done.
I
Like you added
I
a
get that.
friggin' Reina to kind of
It
replace him and
wouldn't
then
be
brought him
bad,
back
but they
anyway.
keep saying that he's dead and everything. But at the same time, like the fact that people keep telling them that they have to get rid of him and they keep bringing him back, I kind of like the middle finger.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, he's dead when we say he's dead,
Which is
and then he might
incorrect.
not be dead
Yeah.
because we didn't really mean it.
Yeah. That's crazy. Oh. Yeah, but that I think that's the only thing I can point to and be like, okay, this is the one thing that I really, really don't like about this game because I just feel like there were so many other like so many other interesting characters that they could have brought back, and instead they brought back another Mishima. Hold on for just a
It's
sec.
extra frustrating when people are waiting for their character. So for them, I definitely get it too. But it would have been nice if it was like Robo Hayachi or something.
Well, haven't hasn't there been suggested that we are supposed to be getting a Mokujin at some point?
Well, people are
Tetsujin?
asking for it, and I really don't even understand why they're asking for it. Nobody plays Mokujin. I mean, they do like you're at your friend's house and your party,
Hmm.
you're all playing and everything. Oh, how long can you go with Mokujin? But it's not somebody people represent.
Yeah, that's true, but it is a fun factor, right?
Right.
Um, One thing, and maybe you can fill me in on this instead of me trying to look it up. Have they done anything cool with like team battles and stuff, or are we still missing that kind of
So
content?
that's a problem right now. In my world, this is my world, but that's a problem because they recognize that this would be a good game for team battle. And I absolutely agree. I would love to take, you know, me, Scott, and, Cubby, and we go against, Shaney, Dat Boy, and Zenomir. Shout outs to everybody. And I would love that, like 3-on-3. I think that this is the perfect game for it. Obviously, I would still maybe like some bigger stages for that too. But like team battle would be a hoot. They suggested even doing like 3v3 instead of 5 versus 5. But they said that they like when they were asking about that, they're like, "Hey, what other modes would you all want? All of this." And we're going by uh if you express the interest, we'll put it in there. And really at that time people were just so focused on the things that they didn't have from Tekken 7 that I think it just fell between the cracks. So
Yeah.
Namco has got to stop listening to these whiners. You made a great game. At this point, some people need to shove it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where even at launch I remember commenting like it's great to have these what the hell, the Tekken, whatever the arcade thing is called.
I'm relieved.
Was it?
Oh, oh, the lounge.
Yeah, the lounges and stuff. Like very, very cool idea in terms of like aesthetic presentation, but there needs to be some cool functionality with that, like where you can go in there like a team battles thing. So for instance, in the lounge, they have those quote, the digital cabinets set up where some of them are connected, and it just like connects the people who are sitting at it. So you're just like this constant rotation of whoever's sitting at that block. And you have like in the main area, there's like this stage and stuff that they're not doing anything with. Like it's just there kind of as
Eh,
decoration. And it's like it feels like team battles would be one thing, but like why, I don't know. It feels like Counter Strike and all these other OG games have figured this out decades ago. Where, like, if you have these really cool rooms and you can do really cool things with them, like, why can't you set up a tournament room that looks like that, right? Like, why do these lounges have to be public, right? Like, there's a set number and you just go to whatever's open. Like, why can't you create them? Like, what is the hurdle to doing that? And then you can, maybe like host tournaments that way through that like avatar scope. Like, that would be really cool. But team battles in particular feel like they'd be really cool. Doing it with that kind of format. Like, there's just so much that they could do there to make the game more fun and engaging rather than fundamentally the lounge is no different than just going in a quick match, right?
yeah,
Although they have
they could
ranked
do
match
that.
machines or whatever, but that's all it is. Like, you're just going into the lounge to play ranked or quick match. That's all you're doing.
Use your space.
Yeah. So
Like
like
actually use it.
yeah, and I love what they were trying to do with it. It just feels like they stopped halfway through getting to the really good stuff. Like, it's sort of in its demo period. Like, this is the proof of concept, but we haven't done anything with it, kind of deal.
Mhm.
That's what I like to see. But even just having a team battles function, I don't think there's a way to run like legitimate tournaments, right? I know that it has, similar to Tekken 7. I think there's like a limited bracket option that you can kind of set up with online versus, but it's not like you can just run your whole bracket and seed people, and I feel like that feels like something that should be pretty easy to create and develop, but maybe
It
I'm wrong.
would be really awesome to grab three friends and just you're not even playing like specific people. You're playing against three other people or, just random player match, quick match or whatever.
Yeah. Well, in that, I know, like, I don't think there's any excuse for not having that kind of functionality because there are team, competitive team games out there, right? That it's built, it's just a part of what they are. All the MOBAs and stuff. So, like, obviously, matchmaking in that regard is not some sort of foreign concept. And
I do
and
see that as
yeah.
the future, like co-op play as the future of like if you want to get more and more people,
Mm-hmm.
you need to not just have like people interacting and playing with each other, but also like teaming up with each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that to me, in my opinion, is one of the main draws of MOBAs because, well, two reasons. One, is that if you have friends to play with, you don't even need a full quote unquote team to play with them. You can pair up with, one or two friends, and then, you just get some random people to fill in those last couple spots. And it's really engaging when you play that way. Like, I think that's a huge draw, is that you're trying to coordinate, like you said, co-op. Like, there is this playing together element, even though it's a competitive game. Like that team element. It is fun to play team games, not just video games. It's any game, sports, board games, whatever. It is fun. It's really fun to play on a team. And then you have like the more cynical element, which is where even if you're solo queuing and everybody else on your team is just random people, there's the what's the phrase? There's the passing the buck, the pushing of the blame. So if you lose, it's not your fault. Where's my team? Kind of deal.
Yeah.
And it's stupid to say, but like a lot of people
Don't want to take accountability.
yeah, they use that to allow them to keep playing. They don't, which from a casual perspective, or in terms of like keeping your casual numbers high, is really important, because it's no different than any business or any game trying to keep their numbers high and keep people engaged, is that you just kind of have to find whatever way you can to get people in the door. And even though that's really stupid to people who want to be good at games, there are a lot. I mean, I have not played League of Legends. I did play the Blizzard one, Heroes of the Storm, for a while, and it's everywhere. Like, it's very, very heavy amongst casual players to just blame, but they keep coming back because of that. Because they're like, well, it's not my fault. I just have to find good teammates. So they keep coming back and they keep playing. Which, from the company's perspective, is like, great, that we don't care why you're coming back. We just want you to come back. So, but anyway,
No, I
sorry, it
would
sounded
love.
like you had a thought.
Oh, I was just gonna say that. I mean, I hear that in Fortnite when the kids playing. It's not
Oh
him,
yeah.
it's the team.
Yep.
And then you also get those people that are like, if they're looking for a good team, it's almost like they're keeping players around. They're pulling people back in. They're encouraging each other to keep playing and stuff like that. So it's like this this is a machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think we've been asking for it forever. I mean, we had team battle functions in Tekken a long time ago, and then they just decided to stop giving them to to us for some unknown reason. And that just, I know we've talked about this before, and I'm sure I've said it a lot of times in many of my videos, and many of the podcast episodes that we've done, but it feels like a huge missed opportunity not to have team battles uh, in a game like Tekken. Like, I just, it's weird. It's weird to me. Like, it's just like, it's such a low hanging fruit. Like, it's right there. Like, everybody wants it. We're all looking at it, and then the dev just won't grab it. They just refuse to bring it off the tree. But it's weird. But anyway, I think that wraps up my thoughts. It's nice to hear your thoughts about it, because obviously you're way more in the know about all this season 2 stuff. It should have been obvious to me, but I didn't even realize that there was a season 2 announced trailer. Like, that's that's kind of how much catch up I
Well,
have to
you've been
do.
out of it.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, you've been out of the scene doing bigger, better.
Yeah.
But we got you back now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm really excited. Like, it sucks being in we moved up here right before the winter, and now the weather's getting crappy, so there's kind of that factor. But it'll be really nice once the weather starts to get nicer, and can go to more stuff, to actually have a scene around here where I can go get offline games. That'll be really cool. And yeah, so, but season 2, now that we're done with this big life changing event, can hopefully settle down and keep focusing on Tekken 8, and kind of get back into the groove. That said, I think since we've been going for a while now, we can start to wrap up. I just wanted to kind of segue into a final topic. Um, how about them Lions? Right? They're
So
ready. They're ready. I think they're ready.
it's my team.
Yeah, they're
It's nice to be able to take this weekend off and just watch the plebeians play.
yeah. Watch them beat each other up. See how badly they bloody one another, so that you guys can put the nail in the coffin.
We needed that bye because we did not. We had an early bye. We had a week 5 bye, which is just ridiculous, and that's why we're leading the league in injuries. And as soon as one of our key linebackers came back, that's why we did well against Minnesota. And now we get this week off. I feel like it's time for the punches to really fly again.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little sad that I can't place a bet because I only like to place bets where I can get some sort of modest payout, and they're number one. So it's like, well, I'm not. Why even place a bet? I'm not even even if they win, I'm not going to get anything. Whereas last year, and obviously there's no reason to bring this up in any other episode prior to this, but well, I can't remember what site it was. It was like FanDuel or one of those websites, but I just get random emails, just like everybody does, spam emails. And I got one from them when the playoffs started last year, and they were at the bottom. I think they were one of the bottom teams in terms of odds. But FanDuel, because I didn't have an account or whatever with them, it's just like I got spammed with these. Oh, if you sign up now for the Super Bowl, you get like all these extra bets and stuff like that. And I remember telling you, I was like, if I can't even remember how much I put down, but it was only like a couple $100. But had they won, which they for sure should have been in the Super Bowl, like that was a very sad outcome. But had they won the
Yeah.
Super Bowl for a couple $100, I would have won like 10 grand. So, but I don't have that this year. I can't do some stupid, some stupid bet like that to get a huge payout. So
You have to take a prop bet now.
yeah, but
Well,
it's cool.
I'm if you mentioned FanDuel, I don't know if you heard about this, but the Lions have been, doing their comebacks and everything like that, and apparently it's affecting the prop bets. And I think there was one game. I'm gonna guess that it was the one against the Texans where we were losing really bad, and then the prop bet started coming in. Where Lions fans, because it's trending to be a Lions fan now, we're like, oh, they're gonna come back and all of this. Apparently, FanDuel lost like $74 million off of that, and they've actually had to pull back on some of their anytime prop bets because they've lost so much money. I know it's like a significant hit for their entire company because the lines just keep coming back and like beating some odds, beating spreads, and it's hilarious to me.
Yes, good. That's the middle finger that the franchise can give to everybody.
Right.
Funny.
It's just you never hear about that.
Yeah. Those are always the funniest to me is like when these companies that they're even if they're not a casino or not a gambling site, they're still built like one, and then they lose a bunch of money. It's like, well, that's what you get. So sort of like the when the GameStop thing
Gamble.
happened, and what was it? That one small investor app, like Robinhood or something like that, where
Yeah.
there were a ton of issues with that because so many people were buying and yeah, it is just wild. But I just laugh. And same with like insurance companies. Like you're gonna screw over everyone at every opportunity, and then now you got to pay out. Sorry, bro. This is maybe stop being such douches. But yeah. So anyway, I wanted to end on that note because it's playoff time, and we'll see how the Lions do. They at least won't get eliminated this week. So there you go. You won't
Whoop,
finish
whoop.
last in the playoffs. But that said, I don't have anything else. My expectation is that hopefully we can do one of these here again in about a month, and I'll I'll do my best since I'm just starting to get back in the game to try to get some actual gameplay content up. But things are what they are. So, sick and all that crap. But for you, Dan, any last words or anything you want to say before we call it good?
No, just keep challenging yourself. This game is good, and if you have to change your strategy in order to get those consistent results, I mean, do it.
Yeah,
I
I will say
constantly,
the funniest thought that I have while playing this game, and even since launch, is when I run into characters that are just doing really stupid things to me. Lydia is one, but like we have somebody in our group that plays Shaheen, and when he gets heat, he has a very good flow with Shaheen, and you just have to block. You just gotta take these mixes and stuff. And every time I get in those situations, I'm like, this is so stupid. And then immediately my brain's like, well, your character is also really dumb. And then no less than like 2, 3 rounds later, it's like a round that is exactly the opposite, where I'm the one putting on all the pressure and they can't move. So it's really funny to me. Like more so than any other Tekken is. It doesn't matter what the matchup is. It feels like like I have that thought. But
you
anyway,
got your BS. That's the moral of this game.
yes, indeed. All right. Well, this was fun. Again, sorry guys that the content has been light and you haven't heard from us or from me, but we'll try to turn that around. But otherwise, I hope everyone has had a good holiday season, good New Year's, all of that. And now as we start to enter or get kind of ramped up for the new season and new Tekken World Tour and new tournaments. I hope everyone has a lot of fun with that and gets out to everything they want. So with that, have a good one, guys, and we'll chat with you later.